Buenos dias.
Buenos dias. Welcome to another episode of CFP, where we focus on the words courage, worthy, and certain, and all of the themes associated with that. Today, we're talking about, or the episode is entitled, You Are Not Lazy. And it's about understanding procrastination as emotional overwhelm and really as a trauma response.
Mm.
And this is a compassionate conversation for empaths, healers, creatives who are ready to release their shame and reclaim their power. And
Saying
I'm
bye
here
to
with
it
lovely
all.
Lauren. Yay!
Hi, Dr. Gigi. Good morning, everyone. I'm so excited about another episode, digging and diving into real feelings and how we can rewrite our stories and change our beliefs around things that have plagued our everyday lives for so long, me included.
Yeah, so really, if you've ever called yourself lazy or felt, just stuck, you can't get through, this episode is for you. And we have a dynamic healing to go with it. We have an emotional freedom tapping, and we have an empowerment script to go from, feeling lazy to feeling empowered and really understanding where procrastination comes from. And we don't have to guilt or shame ourselves and say, how come I'm not doing this or that? This will really give you an opportunity to understand and, more importantly, heal with that understanding.
That's where empathy is magic. Empathy for yourself and others will really change how you see the world and open you up to receiving the things that you block a lot of times with negative thoughts and beliefs and judgment.
Oh, yeah, the judgment.
Hmm.
Yeah, and I notice when I've done it, I am really good at judging. Why, Gigi? How come you had all this time and you were out there just watching, binging on Netflix, these Netflix series when you could have been doing all of this. What's up with that? I've done that many times.
Oh, a ton. Or I've been like, you knew you had to clean this whole room and you decided to lay down and take a nap. Like, get it together, girl.
Yeah.
Yeah,
When in
yeah.
fact, there's nothing wrong with rest
Or doing nothing.
or doing nothing. Why is it we have to justify resting and doing nothing?
Well, we live in hustle culture. Like especially living in a capitalistic society,
Mhm.
our worth, our value is inherently tied to what we can produce, what we can, I mean, even with being creative, we're like having to, well, you need to turn it into a business. You can't just be creative for the sake of being creative.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah. You can't just do.
You
Do it
can't
just
just
once.
do or just be. You have to produce. You
Right.
have to perform.
Yeah,
Hmm.
yeah. Because the more we perform, that tends to be associated with our value, and we feel good
Yes,
about that.
exactly. And it's like ingrained in us at this point.
It
Uh,
is.
yeah.
Because really, we were conditioned to work, work, work. We weren't conditioned to ever ask for help or to rest. We were the help, and we were the people to give other people rest.
Yeah.
Those workers. And so it's been ingrained in every fiber of our being, particularly as African Americans.
Hmm. And I mean, like, going on social media, like, this is the grind, this is how you do it, let me tell you, and it's all attached to making more money. And then what happens is the cost of living continues to rise. And then we're made to believe that we're just not doing enough. Like, you're not at this level because you're lazy or you're not trying hard enough. And it's like, why should I why should I be exhausted all the time? For what? Just to have like my basic needs met? That's ridiculous. A lot of people are thinking they have to work two, three jobs to keep up.
Yeah. And yeah, and often do in this and often do because of the economy, which I entirely get. Yeah,
Hmm.
that's interesting. So we're going to be reframing laziness as a protective nervous system response. And we're going to talk about procrastination as emotional paralysis.
Yeah.
Not a flaw, but something that the body does for itself to protect itself from emotional overwhelm, a lot of things. So I want to first tie in some language from my book, Boundary Badass. And that it's a quote that says, when safety meant silence, productivity became punishment. And procrastination isn't a character flaw, it's an internal cry for emotional safety. So in these moments when your mind still wants to act, but your body and your emotions are in conflict, it's like they're fighting. This disconnection creates a shutdown. So instead of blaming yourself, the invitation is to really get curious, you know, and ask the question, what am I feeling? Even put your hand on your heart and your belly. What am I feeling that makes this action of resting feel unsafe right now? And just let whatever comes up comes up. And so sometimes when I've done this, I think, because it's just not safe to rest. I didn't see my mom resting. I never saw my peers resting. I'm starting to see probably now since the pandemic, some people, actively deciding I'm going to rest all weekend and it's okay. I'm going to binge Netflix and it's okay. And sometimes you just have to give yourself permission to do that.
I agree. And I really appreciate those viral moments where, like, I think there was one where people were frolicking. That was something like that one was sweet. And then there's the nap ministry where people are just encouraged to take naps. I'm totally on board with that. I love a nap. Um, and there's just all these other challenges to just be chill, like just hang out to veg. I can't think of the terms, but I'm sure people out there know what I'm talking about. But we need to really promote that and, teach and coach each other into taking care of ourselves because you just never know. And
Yeah.
our body sometimes will just be like, whoop, and sit you down before you
Yeah.
know it.
Yeah, and that does happen because your body will sit you down, with
Hmm.
some sort of an illness. And it's usually an illness.
It's usually an illness, yeah. Because some people only not come to work if they have COVID because they've been told you can't come to work with COVID.
Exactly.
I know
Yeah.
people like that just won't take a sick day. And there's pride in that. And it's like, well, yeah, you should be proud that you're not sick,
Yes.
but you shouldn't take pride in all you do is work, 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 work.
Exactly. Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. And for those of you listening live, we want to say hi and thank you. Are you comfortable resting? What comes up for you when you rest, for long periods of time? Do you feel any guilt or shame? We'd love to hear from you. And for those of you listening in archive or the recorded link, we'd like to hear from you. Just write in the comments and we will respond when we see the comments. Some of
Yeah.
the comments don't come in real time, so just help a sister out.
Holla.
Holla, holla, holla. So
um,
go ahead.
yeah, so I was just gonna say I used to think I was lazy until I realized I was emotionally overloaded. Burnout is a real thing, and I literally was commuting to a job that and then spending hours there that was it was mentally, emotionally fatiguing and sometimes physically depending on the day, and then oftentimes commuting back and then going to a second job, which was doing the same, and then trying to make time to keep up the house, grocery shop, like all of these things. And I'm like, my God, why am I so tired? And then just looking at my day in reflection, going, oh, because you've been going nonstop. You most likely haven't eaten, hadn't taken a deep breath, had as much water as you needed, hadn't stretched, like all of the things. So, yeah, I became overloaded mentally, emotionally, physically. And then it would come to a point where I would still have things to do, but like nothing right in that moment. So that's when I would like actively choose to do nothing. And to be honest with you, being aware of it and allowing myself, giving myself grace to rest, it has put me in a place where I am more mentally, emotionally, and physically capable of showing up the way that I want to more often. Not all the time, still, but more often. So I'm just wondering, has anybody else had that experience? Have you, Dr. Gigi, or our audience?
Yes, yeah. Yeah, I think most of, my adult working time definitely have had that experience. And I unfortunately I haven't been very kind or gentle with myself. Actually, I wasn't kind and gentle with myself at all. I said a lot of mean, hurtful things. I've said things to myself that I would not say to anybody on this earth. And so I
Yes.
used to do that. I used to do that. I don't do that as much anymore. And
Good.
because
Don't be
it,
mean. Don't be
yeah,
mean to my
don't be
friend.
me.
Don't be
Yeah.
mean to my friend. Mm.
Yes, yes. Well, let's go a little bit deeper into what's really happening in the mind and the body when we procrastinate. And this is really about reframing this whole word of laziness as a protective nervous system response. And I love what you talk about, Lauren, because you're always talking about, hey, let's calm down that nervous system. Because nothing happens productive when that nervous system is out of whack, when it's dysregulated. People don't hear things, you're not resourced, you're in fight or flight. And it could be looking like you're trying to leave, run, or something in between. And so we often label laziness as a personality flaw, but it's actually the body's built in safety mechanism. Who knew that? And so when the nervous system perceives overwhelm, a threat, or pressure, even if it's emotional or invisible, it can shift you into freeze mode. And so one of the common trauma responses, the other responses are fight, flight, and fawn. And so this freeze response can look like avoiding tasks. It can look like feeling stuck. It can, or being confused, shut down, like you just don't want to talk about it. It could also look like wanting to move, but feeling paralyzed, not knowing, the first step to make. It can look like oversleeping. It could look like over scrolling, just to escape. And so your nervous system isn't broken. It's designed to do exactly what it's supposed to do. It's protecting you the best way it knows how. And it's saying, this feels unsafe. So let's pause. We're going to press the pause button and not move forward just yet. Have you had that experience?
Yes, all of it. All of the above. Check, 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 check. Um, I think too, for me, I'm going through a big transition where I'm reconsidering. I just turned 40 and I'm reflecting on the past and looking to the future, like where do I want my life to go? And also the world is on fire. So there has been moments where I think I've spent like the last year just kind of like in this place of just I do what I have to do and then I power down. And because of the way I've been taught and just society in general. Like I just I'm abusive to myself and telling myself like you're not doing enough, or you should be doing more, you should be rich by now, and all of these things. But I'm like, at what cost? At
Yeah.
what cost? And then also I'm 40. Like I can't do. At one point I think I did have four jobs or
Good
three,
job,
and
Mom.
yeah, four job mom. And I'm like, but to do that constantly for what and
Yeah.
why?
Yeah.
So definitely I've had those moments where I've just been like, you know what, I just don't have it in me right now. I am not every woman. It is not all in me, and I'm okay with that.
Yeah.
I'm okay with that.
I think that's beautiful. I think that's beautiful. I know I bought this lie about the American dream, you're happy when you make a lot of money, you're happy when you get married, have kids, go to school, get a good job, and you do those things, you are going to be happy. And I think that's the biggest, fattest lie ever, especially money. Tying one's value or happiness to money. I remember one year I wanted to see how much I could make, and I made about 500,000. And that really was one of the worst, most miserable times in my life because that was my focus. My kids were small, and I had disconnected from them. I had disconnected from my body. My addiction was at an all-time high, really, and I needed to do that, or so I thought, just to work at that level. But the price, it almost killed me. Almost killed.
Mm,
And so the price was too heavy. And it's not that, I don't make or want to make, more than that now. I do, but I want to do it differently. I want to do it where I don't have to do and really attract it to me, by doing
yeah.
the kind of work I enjoy, resting when I want to rest. If I want to binge out and watch XYZ, I can binge out, watch XYZ, or go to the beach, and ground and do nothing.
And see, like I ashe and amen, and let's affirm that. But in my head, I'm thinking like so many people would be like, she's crazy, or that doesn't exist. Because again, we've been fed this hustle culture and
Yeah,
been taught like, you know, I can sleep when I'm dead, and like those all of those things, and we wear it with a badge of pride.
yeah, yeah. Well, let's talk a little bit about it so we don't wear it as a badge of pride, because procrastination is often misunderstood, like I said, as laziness or lack of willpower, but it really is emotional paralysis. It's not a flaw, it's how our bodies were designed to be. We're humans, we're not giraffes, and we need to recognize that. And so when we think of our system being in emotional paralysis, it's a state where your system is too emotionally flooded to act.
You're oh,
You're overwhelmed.
you're overwhelmed by expectations or perfectionism. You're scared of rejection, failure, or even being seen.
Mhm.
You've tied productivity to your worth, and you're emotionally exhausted from people pleasing or overgiving.
Right, right. And sometimes we do all of those things for other reasons, and those two are, like people pleasing, and those two, is a trauma response.
Yeah.
We're looking for we're looking for a certain type of reaction, when we do those behaviors. So let's talk about that a little bit more. Let's talk a little bit more about these ideas of um, let's look through at procrastination through the trauma lens and talk about how hypervigilance, self-doubt, and perfectionism can lead to emotional freezing. In my book, Boundary Badass, it's available. You can click the link below. So there's a beautiful quote in there that says, if I take action and I get it wrong, I'll disappoint somebody. So I stay in a state of inaction because I don't want to be wrong. And how many times have we done that? We want to do something, but because it's not perfect, we're not gonna release it. And whose definition of perfect? Because perfect is different for different people.
Yeah. I can't explain it, but I totally get it, and I'll have an idea and be like, yes, or want to show up. But in my mind, I've created this idea that I have to show up exactly in this way, or there's no point in showing up at all.
Yes, yeah, yeah. And so we hold ourselves to this unreasonable standard, and we
Hmm.
don't hold other people to that standard. It's a very different standard. And I think it's important to understand that. I think also, I believe when we look at procrastination through the trauma informed lens, we stop asking what's wrong with me and start asking what happened to me.
Ooh,
And then when then you're asking from a place of curiosity and
yes,
compassion,
yes.
because procrastination is not about laziness or poor time management at all. It's often an overprotective or protective adaptation. It's a way our nervous system copes with emotional overload, fear, past experiences where taking action led to pain, judgment, or rejection. And nobody wants that. So through the trauma lens, procrastination is seen as a freeze response to pressure or fear, a result of overwhelm, not indifference, a symptom of unprocessed emotional wounding, not a lack of discipline. So when our past taught us that action equals danger, like criticism, punishment, or abandonment, we might unconsciously learn to pause, avoid, or delay as a way of staying safe. So look at it as a safety response. It's your body looking to
Mhm.
keep you safe. And it's very loving when you think about it from that perspective. What are your thoughts about hypervigilance, Lauren?
Um, Hypervigilance keeps you in a constant state of scanning for threats. Looking. Who's going to hurt me? How am I going to get hurt? You're afraid to get it wrong, say the wrong thing, or be seen in the wrong way. So you're always on alert, and that's just so your nervous system is constantly in a state of I'm in harm's way when you're
Right,
really not.
right.
And then I'm sorry.
You know what? I remember Dr. Alana's trauma cure, and she talked about this, with like the reticular activation system, RAS,
Yes.
and that it's hypervigilant and it's looking. And what I find is if I'm looking for something, I'll find it. If I'm looking for trouble, I will find it.
Mhm. Have you ever been with someone that literally assumes the worst is going to happen? Like they have to sit in a room and know exactly where all the exits are, and that they need to have their back to a wall so that they can see everybody that's coming in, and they're just like, what if this happens, what if that happens? Like i I thought I was that person, but I've been with someone who experiences that on a different level, and I'm just like, my god, that must be so hard to exist in a world where yes, anything could happen, but also like it doesn't have to be the worst. Like what if you had the best time of your life in this space, and if
Yeah.
you don't feel safe in this space, why are you here, and what do you need to feel safe?
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's really important. Finding what you need to feel safe.
Hmm.
Breath work is it to hold somebody's hand? But get safe because the thing about the RAS is it will look for what you want it to find.
Yes.
If your focus is on red cars, you start noticing red cars when you're driving. Red, red, red. They'll just come
Hmm.
to you. So when you're looking for threats and you're actively looking to find them, you will find them.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Or people who like have toxic interactions with other people, we attract what, like you said, what we're seeking, what we're looking for. Because I go into spaces where they're like, nobody likes me, or this, that, and the other, and you go, okay, well, like, are you asking yourself like what's going on or what's happening? We don't necessarily look outside of ourselves.
Right.
We're so internalized, and like you said, our Raz will seek what it needs to confirm that I'm in danger and maintain that level of hypervigilance. And then our self-doubt erodes our belief in our abilities. So we second guess everything that we do, everything that we say. And it limits us, and it takes away the freedom to just be present and enjoy what's happening.
Exactly. Exactly.
And then that little mother, you know what, perfectionism creates these impossible standards. So nothing ever feels ready enough to start or complete. And I cannot stand perfectionism. And I say that because I have been at war with that my whole life, starting something and then not finishing it because I can't put a gold star on it or I don't feel like it's gold star worthy.
Yeah. Right. I want to say something about that because we know we apply a different standard to ourselves, a much higher standard than we would to somebody else. So, a lot of the things that we produce, if we were to share them with other people, they're like, wow, they're pretty impressed. But because we're like, well, it's not perfect, it's only 98% or it's only 80%. So we're not gonna give it out. That is really the kiss of death.
It is.
It is.
It is. And for me, I find the work for myself is easier when I see it reflected in other people. I'm like, oh, they feel that too. They think that too. So I kind of step into the space of, okay, how would I want someone to calm me down? Or how would I want someone to uplift me in this moment? So that's kind of when I go into, that's how I've done a lot of my healing work, is seeing it in other people and being like, okay, like what do we need? What do we need in this moment to feel at ease, to feel peace, you know? And I'm like, okay, let's collectively take a deep breath. Let's focus on what we can control.
Yeah.
And it's made me very good, I think, as a behaviorist because there's that happens quite a bit. And when I started to see that, like, okay, this is happening with me too, like I'm having a meltdown. What would I look for someone? How would I look for someone to support me?
Yeah.
You know, like I would be like, do you need a break? Some words of affirmation. Do you need a snack?
Yeah.
Do you need a walk? Like what do we need to do to get our nervous system to tell us that we are okay and we are safe in this space in this moment?
Exactly. Exactly. I
Get rid of that hypervigilance, get rid of that self-doubt, get rid of that perfectionism, that emotional overload, because that's what's harming us. That's what's killing us is our nervous system going. That's really fun to do, by the way.
just wanted that's actually one of the a healing practice to shake.
Yes,
Mhm.
the
Yeah. Like an animal when
oh
they're
yeah, that
out of a dangerous situation. You'll see dogs and deer, they'll just shake and they're shaking out all of that adrenaline, that anxious energy, so they can just get it out. And so I'm interested to our live listeners and those listening to the recording. Have you experienced, those three issues of emotional overload that Lauren just spoke about: hypervigilance, self doubt, and perfectionism? If so, we'd love to hear from you and how it's
yes,
impacted your life.
yes,
Also, if this content resonates with you, please share it. Please like, subscribe, share this content with others that you think would resonate with this healing. So Lauren, can you tell us a little bit more about, the nervous system science? That fight, flight, freeze, and fawn response.
Yes. So I think you said something earlier about feeling like you were disconnected from your body or you left your body. Um, I think a lot of us do that. And with our nervous system, we need to pay attention to what our body is saying to us. So it's important to do a check, a scan.
Mm.
Is your chest heavy? Is your mind spinning? Are you feeling numb? Are you feeling tingly? Um, is it just hard for you to get started on something, even if it's simple, like standing up or making a move? It's not a lack of a motivation. It's just a lack of emotional bandwidth of your capacity to engage. And our nervous system, it gives us those signs, like you were saying earlier: fight, flight, freeze, fawn. And we can connect it to like wanting to show up or perform, our people pleasing. It's avoiding action to avoid potential rejection, failure, or being too much. All of it. How do we do it? Some of us do get angry and lash out. Some of us do run away or hide. Some of us just don't do anything. We just shut down. And then others go into the fawning, the hyper vigilant, people pleasing, like, I'm sorry, what can I do? And overexerting themselves. So we need to be compassionate and also self aware
Mm.
and just love on our nervous system and teach our bodies to respond in different ways, especially when those stressors or triggers occur. When we say we're fighting, I must control this now. I might get angry. I might do something. That's our perfectionism talking.
Mm.
The flight, I need to run away or distract. We're overworking or just avoiding. The freezing, I'm stuck and I can't move. That's procrastination and shutdown. The fawning, the pleasing.
Mm.
We just need to be aware of our bodies and our brains and like make the connection. And that's where a lot of times our brain is thinking this and our body is just responding. But if we just go, the brain goes, hey body, and the body goes, hey brain, this is what we're feeling. What can we do to make it better? How can we come together so that we're safe? With procrastination, we freeze a lot. Your system is putting on the brakes, not because you don't care, but because the emotional pressure is too much to handle all at once. So, what are some things that have helped you, Dr. Gigi? What is it that when you're feeling like you procrastinate, what are some skills that you've developed for yourself or some coping strategies, I should say?
Wow, that's a good one. I like to use tapping. As soon as I have awareness, that could be a minute. As soon as I have awareness that I'm procrastinating, um, I usually go into tapping. I'll talk with a good friend, I'll talk to you, and I'll just say it. Being in recovery, I've realized the value of being honest with yourself, and I call it out. I'm like, oh, I'm procrastinating. I see procrastination just right here, and often I'll have some physical signs. I'll be exhausted. I might be tired. I might start reprioritizing certain tasks, and I can see it. I might crave comfort. You know, Particularly in food. I want to eat my comfort foods. Love Tres Hermanas, my Milanesa. Think I'm gonna be having that soon.
It's bomb.
It is. It really is. You should
It
try
really is. It's
it.
bomb.
It's one of Sacramento's best kept Mexican restaurant secrets. Go there.
I don't know if it's a secret, but I've been going there for like almost 2 decades. that place is, it's definitely comfort.
It's definitely comfort. Yes, yes. And yeah, and some of the other emotional signs that when I'm experiencing it include guilt. I'll feel guilt and shame for not doing those things I'm procrastinating about. And that's probably one of the earliest indicators, because then I'll say, oh, what am I feeling guilty and shameful about? And then I'll hear something, it'll come up, in my intuition, in my spirit. Oh, it's this project you're not doing. um, I'll get anxiety, and I might even just shut down, which are, the fight or flight symptoms. And so, when I feel exhausted, it's just a reminder that I'm stressed, and I allow myself an opportunity to breathe. I might do some tapping, I'll do some breath work. Breath work really, it works just like that. A couple of deep inhales through the nose, exhales through the mouth. Three of them will get me back in my body like that. And it's important to get back in your body. Um, let's talk about some of the emotional signs of procrastination as a trauma response. I spoke of them earlier: guilt, shame. And so guilt might look like I should have done this by now. And it carries this weight of not being enough. And even though you might be doing your best, and doing your best is good enough, really, but we don't value that enough. Shame, what's wrong with me? It looks like feeling broken, not realizing your avoidance is actually a coping mechanism, and to be kind and compassionate with yourself.
Yeah.
Anxiety, the more time that passes, the more urgent and overwhelming the task becomes. And so sometimes that's even hard to start, when you have that anxious wall start going up. And then shutdown, eventually you just go numb. And, if you might do some addictive behaviors, you might go shopping, you might go eating or drinking or smoking or sexing or gambling, anything, to distract you from, what it is that you want to do. So when you're feeling immobilized, this is a freeze response. Your system is overloaded
Yeah.
and it's gone offline. And what happens when your computer goes offline? You restart it. You let it shut down. You give it a break.
And yes, and what I'd like to add to that, I had a thought is working in education, especially I was working mainly at secondary level or junior high, high school, but this last year I worked in elementary. It starts so early. It starts so early, and we're not even aware of it. The
How
the
early?
first grade, second grade, sometimes
Wow.
even kindergarten. I've heard kids like just speak about like feeling guilty, feeling shameful, having anxiety, shutting down over their ability to show up and perform or participate, um, and not make a mistake. And you kind of like, it's like, oh, I kind of wonder what they're hearing, where they've gotten those messages so early on, but it can start really early. Like, I
Yeah.
can't do it. It's just too hard. I can't start it. I can't do the thing. And it's like, let's just put our name on the paper. And then they feel like it's a all or nothing type of deal. And it's like, babe, it's not. Like, I just need you to like sit down and take a breath, and we can take it one step at a time.
Yeah. I
And
love that.
it's really like in those moments, I'm like, okay, practice what you preach. So, like, doing the same with, the people the adults that I'm around, especially the ones that I care about, and then myself. Like, babe, just sit down, do one thing at a time, and then like do that one thing good. And then the next step doesn't seem so overwhelming.
Yeah.
And it doesn't have to be perfect. You just try. And when you try, you get better at it and things become easier.
I love that. I love that. It's interesting. 5 is kindergarten.
Mhm.
5. That means these little humans have only been on this earth for 5 years, and they have seen their parents and other peer people in their peer group doing the same thing and be like, that's the way I've got to be. We've got to change that narrative.
We do. We do. And that, like, the demands for perfection, especially with social media being such a big part of everything of society. Like, it, and I don't want to demonize social media by any means because it connects people too and it helps people. But there's also these standards that I'm seeing, especially our youth. That's when the junior high and the high school students where I get concerned because they see these unrealistic standards that I should look like a model and I should wear this brand and I should have these things in order to be seen as acceptable, as close to perfect as perfect can be. And that's like, that's not the standard, baby. Like, that's not the true standard. Like, you've got to take care of your heart. You've got to take care of your mind. You've got to take care of your body. And everybody's heart, mind, and body is not built the same.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I
It's
love
not,
that.
we're not created to be exactly the same. We're created to be us, who we are.
Yeah, I love that. You know, if at the end of the day, all you get from this episode is this understanding, procrastination is not a mindset issue, it's a nervous system issue.
Mhm.
Your body is not betraying you, it's just asking for a pause. It's asking for compassion, it's asking for healing. Lauren, could you share with us some of the behavioral signs of
I-
emotional overwhelm or
I'd be happy to.
procrastination in disguise?
It looks like you're on a loop. You want to move, but something inside holds you back. Behavioral signs that you're engaging in in procrastination is or emotional overwhelm, as we're now defining it. We might look fine on the outside, but underneath we're dysregulated, super dysregulated. And the behavioral signs of dysregulation are often the coping strategies we use when our mind and body are trying to protect us from that perceived threat of failure or rejection. You might need to suddenly clean the kitchen, reorganize your inbox, or check your email for the third time in 5 minutes. It's your brain's way of saying, this task feels unsafe, so let's do anything else.
Yeah,
Anything. It gives temporary relief from emotional discomfort, but long term, it increases the stress and the shame. So, like I was saying just earlier, if you just sit down and do one part of it and not even perfectly, it makes it easier to continue with the next steps. The mindless scrolling,
ah,
you open your phone for just a second. I just need to look at something, and 45 minutes, maybe 3 hours later, you're deep in reels, memes, and other people's lives. And this isn't laziness, it's numbing, babe. It's like a drug. It is. It's like, let me get that good dose of laughter, or being like, my life is my at least my life isn't this way, you know?
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Your brain is seeking a dopamine hit to escape from the emotional weight of the thing that you're avoiding. It's not about discipline, it's about, again, dysregulation. And then those perfectionism spirals. You keep reworking the same thing over and over, telling yourself, it's not ready. I'm not ready. You won't start that project until you have the perfect plan, the perfect tools, and the perfect mindset, the perfect energy. Perfectionism is fear dressed as productivity. Underneath is a deep fear of being judged, rejected, or not enough. So you stay in prep mode instead of progress mode. Ooh,
I love that.
I do. And the truth of it all, these behaviors, they're not weaknesses, they're adaptations. I'm going to say that again for everyone listening now or later. These behaviors are not weaknesses, baby. They're adaptations. Signs that something deeper needs compassion and not criticism. Give yourself compassion, not criticism. So, what to ask instead of what's wrong with me? What part of me is scared?
Mm.
What part might feel unsafe about starting or finishing whatever it is? And the biggest part is, what would it look like to be gentle with myself right now and just try?
Mm. I love that. I hear a
So,
lot of be curious, be compassionate, and empathetic to yourself.
yes, yes. Please, please do that. Be and talk to yourself. I did something in therapy not too long ago where my therapist had me pull up a picture of my little Lauren. And I was like, oh, okay. And she said, say the things to her that you tell yourself. And I couldn't. I couldn't say those mean things to her. And then she said, say the things that you want to hear to her. And I
Yeah.
started like sending her so much love and compassion and empathy. And by the end of it, I was like boohoo crying. But it's
Oh,
a good practice. Like, talk to
thank you.
yourself as if you were your best friend or your most favorite person in the world, or like a little sweet innocent child. Like, show yourself some kindness, show yourself some empathy, show yourself some grace.
That's really,
Ah,
thank you.
yeah,
That's a great practice.
it is.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, okay, Dr. Gigi, are you
Yes.
ready to lead us in some tapping? I love
Yes.
this segment.
Yeah. Yeah. I love our healing segments. We're going to do some tapping and then we're going to follow with an empowerment script by Lovely Lauren. So this tapping sequence is just it's a 2 round tapping sequence to release the shame of procrastination and create space for gentle action. So for those of you that are unfamiliar with emotional freedom techniques or tapping, I like to think of it as a software update for your brain. And so it involves unlearning and relearning, unlearning what no longer serves and replacing it with ideas, thoughts, feelings, and behaviors that do serve our mind, body, and spirit. So essentially, we tell a story. We acknowledge how we're feeling, but we also say, hey, with my love and focus, I want to be here as opposed to there. So it's a transformative somatic practice that involves some breath work, and you'll see right now how quickly you can change. But before we start, I want to ask you on a scale of 1 to 10, how strong does procrastination feel for you right now in this moment? 1 is I'm very peaceful and calm about it. 10 is I've got a lot of stress and anxiety about the procrastination going on in my life. So what's your number right now? Don't think too hard. First number that comes to mind.
For me, I'd say it's about a 6.
About a 6. Okay.
Mhm.
Mine is probably about a 5. So
Mhm.
after we do the tapping and we have the empowerment script, I'm going to ask that question again. How do you feel about, how procrastination, how strong do you feel it's in your life? And hopefully that score will go down lower. It usually does. If it doesn't, there's nothing wrong with that. That just means you need to do it again. Just be calm, as you're doing these practices. And we are going to have an opportunity where you can download the tapping and the empowerment script later. So we're very excited about that. So you ready to start?
Yes.
Yes. So the first round is about releasing the shame. karate chop point. Just lightly, lovingly tap your karate, the side of your hand. Even though I feel like I'm lazy,
Even though I feel like I'm lazy,
even though I hate that I keep procrastinating,
even though I hate that I keep procrastinating,
even though I feel stuck and ashamed,
even though I feel stuck and ashamed,
I deeply and completely love and accept myself.
I deeply and completely love and accept myself.
Eyebrow point. This heavy pressure to do,
This heavy pressure to do,
side of eye, and this fear I'll fail,
and this fear I'll fail.
under eye. I feel frozen again,
I feel frozen again.
under nose. I want to move,
I want to move,
but I can't,
but I can't.
under mouth. I'm tired of shaming myself,
I'm tired of shaming myself.
collarbone. I didn't learn how to feel safe,
I didn't learn how to feel safe.
3 inches below the armpit. This doesn't mean I'm lazy,
This doesn't mean I'm lazy.
top of head. I'm feeling overwhelmed.
I'm feeling overwhelmed.
Release the tapping. We're going to take a deep inhale through the nose, visualizing white, peaceful light. Exhaling through the mouth with an audible sigh. Everything that is not peace and love. Now we're going to make space to gently move forward. Karate chop point. Even though I still feel nervous,
Even though I still feel nervous,
even though I've been hard on myself,
even though I've been hard on myself,
even though parts of me want to stay still,
even though parts of me want to stay still,
I choose to soften and try.
I choose to soften and try.
Eyebrow point. I give myself permission to pause.
I give myself permission to pause.
Side of eye. I breathe into this moment.
I breathe into this moment.
Under eye. I release the shame.
I release the shame.
Under nose. I allow one small step.
I allow one small step.
Under mouth. I can go at my pace.
I can go at my pace.
Collarbone. My worth is not based on doing.
My worth is not based on doing.
3 inches below the armpit. I am safe to start small.
I am safe to start small.
Top of head. I move forward gently.
I move forward gently.
Release the tapping. We're going to take a deep inhale through the nose, visualizing white, peaceful light. Exhaling through the mouth with an audible sigh. Everything that is not peace and love. Excellent. So let that settle. And now receive the words from Lauren.
Okay. Thank you, Dr. Gigi. Here is an empowerment script for reminding you that you are not lazy. You are feeling emotional overwhelm. And I'd like to first start with taking a deep breath. A white golden light covers you as you feel the ground beneath your feet. And I'd like for you to notice the rise and fall of your chest. This moment is yours. You are safe here. You are seen. You are enough exactly as you are. Now, listen, you are not lazy. Let that truth land in your heart. You are not broken. You are not failing. You are carrying more than most people can see. If you've been calling yourself lazy because you can't just do it like others seem to, pause. You are not weak. You are overwhelmed. Procrastination is not always avoidance. Sometimes it's your body whispering, I need space. Sometimes it's your nervous system saying, please not another demand right now. And sometimes it's your inner self crying out, I want to get this right, and I'm afraid I won't. You have felt deeply, loved deeply, cared deeply. And in doing so, you've often placed your own needs at the very bottom of the list. You've navigated pain with grace. You've shown up for others with devotion. But when it's time to show up for yourself, your system hesitates. Not because you don't care, but because you care so much. Empaths, healers, creatives, loved ones, you process the world through emotion, energy, and intuition. So when your environment feels heavy, uncertain, or unsafe, your mind can become foggy. Your body can freeze, your spirit can dim. But hear this: procrastination is not proof of failure, it is a signpost. It points to something deeper, a need, a fear, a boundary waiting to be honored. Shame will tell you to push through, to hustle harder, to get your act together. Compassion says, slow down. Compassion says, listen to your needs. Compassion says, there is wisdom in your resistance. You are not here to be a machine. You are here to create, connect, restore, and rise. So today, release the shame, let it melt off your shoulders, breathe in your power, breathe out your guilt. You do not need to earn your worth. It was always yours. It is yours. Instead of asking, why can't I do this? Try asking, what do I need to feel safe to begin? What story am I believing about my value? What would it look like to move with kindness? And remember, one step taken in peace is worth more than 1,000 taken in panic. One small, loving action can shift the tide, and rest, my love, is not a reward. It is a right. We're going to close with some affirmations. Say them with me. I am not lazy.
I am not lazy.
I am sensitive, intuitive, and wise.
I am sensitive, intuitive, and wise.
My pauses are sacred.
My pauses are sacred.
My timing is divine.
My timing is divine.
I move at the speed of trust, not pressure.
I move at the speed of trust, not pressure.
I release shame and reclaim my power.
I release shame and reclaim my power.
One breath,
One
one,
breath,
one step,
one step,
one choice at a time.
one choice at a time.
And I'm going to close with this. You are not lazy. You are healing. You are worthy. You are enough. And you are rising.
Mm. Wow, that was beautiful. I felt all that. I felt all that. It's very empowering. I love that empowering script. When you feel into it. Thank you, Lauren. And like I said, we are going to be having these for sale, affordably priced, and we will give you notice when they're available, but they will be available soon. We believe they're going to be a great, um, they'll be great for people. So look forward to that.
Mhm.
As we close out today, I want to leave you with a couple of journal prompts and some somatic suggestions. The somatic suggestions are things that we can do in our body to move that energy along. What we've done just now is energy healing, and it really requires hydration. So drink your water, probably more water than you normally drink, at least 8 ounces more than you normally drink, to, let those ideas, that energy just pass through. And so here are three journal prompts. What am I really feeling when I avoid a task? A task. Two, what would my inner child say about how I treat myself when I don't perform? That goes back to, talking to your inner child. And what tone do you use? And what would they say? How they feel about your treatment. Third, what's one compassionate next step I can take today? And that could be easy. It could be just recognizing you have an issue, could be talking to a trusted friend. Some somatic suggestions. We've got two of them. So do some gentle stretching or walking after this episode and just allow these thoughts, these ideas to integrate. Place one hand over your heart and whisper, I am not lazy. I am safe to move. Yes, thank you. And now I'd like to share some ways that you can dive deeper with Lauren and I. Lauren.
Yes. Well, as always, we invite our listeners to comment and reach out to us here on Facebook or YouTube, wherever you find our videos. Just message us. We love your feedback. We love your insight. Um, and we'd love for you to just connect. So if you're interested in learning more about tapping or receiving an empowerment script, discussing your nervous system, give us a, a comment. You can also find me at Lauren at tappingwithdrgg.com and on Facebook. And that is it. Dr. Gigi, would you please let us know how we can connect with you and access your services?
Yes, thank you. Thank you. Yes, you can reach me at tappingwithdrgg.com. That's tappingwithdrggi. You can reach me there on all the major outlets: Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, LinkedIn. And you can reach me at Dr. Gigi at tappingwithdrgg.com. I'd like to share with you some offers. I'm going to share my screen. Can you see my screen?
Yes.
Okay, so the first offer is about tapping into recovery. I started it several years ago, and I'm restarting it this Tuesday from 5 a.m. to 6 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. It's
Yes.
heart-based centered tool-based approach to recovery using tapping, breath work, will allow people to sit on the love seat for instant healings with tapping, and love to see you there. You can register at tappingintorecovery.com. We'd love to see you. Again, we meet every Tuesday from 5 a.m. to 6 a.m. Pacific Standard Time on Zoom. It's a donation-based opportunity. If you don't have any money, you can still attend and feel better at the end of the day. So we really encourage you to come. And let's see. We've also got Tapping into Prosperity. It's a 4-week program to help you rewrite your money story. The next cohort begins this Tuesday on July the 7th or the 8th. Well, whatever this Tuesday is, I'm sorry, this Monday. We meet on July the 7th on Mondays from noon to 1 p.m. Pacific Standard Time on Zoom. and we help you rewrite your money story and really get in touch with those limiting beliefs that prevent you from achieving your prosperity goals. I'd like to also invite you to develop your talents and gifts and get your talents and gifts online. So we're offering at Serendipity Innovation a landing page for just $197. So for that low price, you can get out there, sister, and start sharing your talents and gifts and let people know who you are and what you do. It's your time. So come on and reclaim your opportunity to get your gifts out there. The link for all of these offers is below in the comments. I've talked a little bit about my book, Boundary Badass. For the low cost of $33.33. Yes, 33.33. It's one of my special numbers. You can learn to say no without feeling guilty. So if you're a creative, an empath like me, saying no used to be very difficult. And I didn't say no. I would accept a lot of things. I would say yes when I really felt no. I would say no when I really felt yes. But now I say what's on my heart, and I say it with
Mm.
ease and grace, and I'm not feeling guilty about it. So if you'd like to experience that transformation, get the book. The link's below, $33.33. And lastly, I'd like to share about AfroLink Media. It's the place where you can get African American centered media. And so we have flashcards for youth, for young people, for elderly going through dementia. We have sight cards, affirmation cards, alphabet cards, Swahili cards, all using beautiful African prints developed by Dr. Tia Hairston. You can check out the flashcards at afrolinkmedia.com. And we have all of our cards in Spanish too. So check them out. They're affordably priced. And you can get some bundles. You can get a bundle of sight words, affirmations, and alphabet cards for as low as $60. And they're beautiful. They will educate your kids, yourself, and older Americans as well. So thanks for listening, and we hope you're able to consume some of our services. We'd love to meet with you and really dive deep in any area that requires some investigation. So I just
Yes.
want to recap our insights. We've learned that procrastination is not laziness. It's just unprocessed emotional overwhelm. We've invited our listeners to reframe that whole notion of procrastination with kindness, curiosity, and love. We have resources available in the comments below. You can also go to the website tappingwithdrgigi.com. And we encourage listeners to share this episode with someone who needs some gentleness, not judgment. So,
Ooh,
yes.
I
So,
love that.
yeah, thank you. If this episode has moved you, we invite you to like, subscribe, and share it with anyone you think would resonate. And we're going to leave you, or maybe Lauren, could you leave the listeners with the reflective question?
What if your procrastination isn't resistance, but a request for gentleness
Ooh,
and support?
I love that.
Mhm.
Yeah, yeah, just consider that. See what your body has to say about that.
Mhm.
And so thank you. Thank you for joining us. It's
Thank
been a pleasure to
you.
serve and support at CFP.
Yes, thank you. Take care of those nervous systems. Sending love.
Sending love. Bye-bye.